Okay, Matt, thanks. Now, you did say in the previous section, there's a few of you. I sort of assume that it'd be quite unique in respect of making a living punting at cricket. I mean, how many of you are there?
It's a good question. I imagine there's an awful lot that bet successfully that aren't on social media. But of the people that I know, there's probably 20 or 30 that either do make a good living for it or manage to fool me online into thinking that they make a good living for it. I have a lot of friends of mine are also semi-professional or professional. I'm not a big fan of the phrase professional because it's hardly a profession, but full-time or at least part-time punters who make a living out of it.
Okay, now you don't want to mention any names, but are there some particular ones that whose opinion you really respect? So if so, would you sort of confer with them and discuss matches prior?
Yeah, I think so. We try and do that. It's important. Obviously, I have a good group of friends who I've known for a long time. If you were just starting out in the industry, you wouldn't have those connections. But as you sort of grow, you do tend to have those people that you meet that you respect their opinion of, and it's nice to bounce your theory off them. I wouldn't say it would take a lot for my opinion to be completely invalid in my head, but it's nice if you sort of speak to a couple of guys you say this is my opinion currently, and they're like, yeah, I'm exactly the same. Just sort of reinforces your idea, and yet if they say the complete opposite, you might reduce stakes, or you might think about what their thought process is, because they're obviously successful as well. So it'd be stupid to just disregard their theories as well.
Yeah, I've talked to other professional punters, and they sort of say if they talk to their confidants and you all agree, you have a bit of a press up.
Yeah, exactly.
Be the case.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's all relative because you could be maxed anyway, so I wouldn't press again. But yeah, if some of the guys think that it's usually laying the draw in test matches. If you think that it's almost impossible for it to be a draw, and then you speak to a mate of yours and he says, yeah, there's no draw here, then press on the lay of the draw.
Now, we didn't want to make this a betting masterclass because you do that already. You do like a seminars and sort of things where people pay for your knowledge.
That's right.
Why do you share it?
Well, because it makes me money. First of all, I think the markets are far too deep and far too liquid that me telling people what I do and educating them and helping them and them doing similar things wouldn't affect me in the same way as if you were betting into an illiquid market. So I think you could do it in racing. I don't see any reason that you couldn't do that as well, because the main markets are so deep that if I had an edge and I told you my edge and you bet the same thing, then we'd still all be able to get on. I guess there's a slight risk if you tell too many people that suddenly you've got some big modeler or something that's doing exactly what you're doing and eating the market. But I mean, there was a £130 million matched on the World Cup game yesterday. You just think, and that's before a penny's been matched with any bookie. That's just on an exchange. So I don't see any reason that me imparting my knowledge and getting paid for it's going to affect me in any way.
Are they quite exclusive little?
What's that?
Are they quite exclusive for what you do?
Not necessarily. No, I'd say fundamentally I just look for players on each side to be with and players on each side to be against. And then obviously if you get the sort of holy grail where you've got two players that you want to be with and the opposition has a bowler that you want to be against, then that'd be a big press. But that's sort of the fundamental strategy that I have.
Okay, what would be the biggest frustrations for you as a cricket punter?
I don't know. I don't have too many frustrations these days. I obviously struggled with the concept of premium charge on Betfair. That was difficult for me initially. Cricket doesn't help itself in some ways. It's not necessarily the punters thing, but just from the sport itself. The scheduling's bad. Sometimes there'll be no game for 3 days, and then there'll be 2 games on at the exact same time, and you just wonder why they've scheduled it like that. And also, they have this issue with rain. So it's going to rain in Cardiff today at this game that's just started, and they'll come off usually too early, or they can't start in rain. So if it's literally spitting, and they would play if they were already on. It seems like some sort of archaic rule they can't start in it, which makes no sense to me. If you would play, if you're already on the field, why can't you start in the same conditions? There's no other sport in the world where that would be the case, you know.
Now you're a cricket fan, so does your heart ever rule your head? Does it try to?
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. That's one of the key things when you're first starting out, that you have to be able to put that away. You can't bet on England because you're English, or Australian because you're an Aussie, or whatever. It's just utterly ridiculous. I think I'd probably take advantage of it a little bit, because the main three teams that are overbet in cricket markets are India, Australia and England. So I'm frequently against those sides, unless they're playing each other, obviously.
So being a neutral in Australia must be handy.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. I get all sorts. Obviously, when they beat us in the Ashes, I got plenty for that. Unfortunately, I wasn't there when we beat them over there. But it's usually light-hearted banter. They're a good bunch, really.
So did you move to Australia for this reason?
No. Just moved to Australia. Wanted to change. I wanted a nicer climate to live, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. England isn't the centre of the world. Isn't the be-all and end-all. I was quite happy to move. I moved to Spain before I moved to Australia 10 years ago. Quite happy to be in the sunshine.
Right. Okay. So what would you say the biggest error that punters make when betting on cricket?
Traders hold their positions too long. They don't think. It's getting a little bit technical, but a lot of people have the ability to find an entry position. They'll find a spot where they think that's a good bet. I like that, but then they're not actually thinking why they've bet it after they've bet it. So what'll happen is that they'll bet something. What they think will happen is going to happen, but then they won't exit that position. They'll run it and then lose. But for the average punter, I don't know. Probably backing batting sides more than they should, because it looks easier to back the batting side than the bowling side. But the standard of batting these days is pretty average, especially in the long format. Okay,
and you've already mentioned that you do your seminars, you earn money from that. So, but can you throw punters that are watching this a crumb of how to improve their betting?
Lay the draw in test matches. It's probably a good start. That's something that I do religiously. I have a system set up where I lay every draw in every test. There's a good guy on social media that has stats based on backing and laying the draw and backing every result in a test match, and laying the draw has been in front every year for the last 10 years. So that's a good fundamental strategy. And then I think if you're going to want to bet seriously into any sport, you have to have more knowledge than the guy next to you. So I think just working hard, not trying to make £1,000 a week day one. Try and break even to start with, because that'll put you in front of 99% of people. If you can make £50 on the side, it pays for a few beers, and then if you can progress from there, then happy days.
Did you bet successfully on any other sports?
No, I don't. I used to do a bit of rugby betting. I tried to bet tennis, because tennis is an excellent sport to bet if you're any good at it, but I was useless. I lost a fortune, so knock that on the head. And also, just because there's so much cricket on, there's no requirement for me to try and learn anything new, and work-life balance is really important to me. So if I was trying to bet on the rugby or tennis as well, I'd have absolutely no life.
There's a couple of things finally, but you mentioned a bit about cricket earlier, some of the problems, the frustrations. How do you think in general cricket's as a sport's health is, and how could it improve itself?
I think it's in a really healthy spot at the moment. I like the idea of new sides coming through and challenging the older sides, the more traditional sides. It'd be nice if more teams could win away at test matches, but I don't really see that happening in the future. It's very difficult to win a series away in a test match. I think, despite the fact that it aids me a lot, because it's quite an easy strategy in one-day cricket to back the batting side. I think it would be nice if there was more of a contest between bat and ball, which it sort of seems like there might be in this World Cup. The pitches are a lot less flat so far than they have been, It'd be nice if bowl could dominate bat a little bit more. But I think fans want to see the ball in the stands. They want to see 350 v 350, and if that's what the paying public want, then I guess all the better for the sport.
All right, then finally, you've been a professional cricket punter for 12 years plus.
Yeah.
You're still a relatively young man. Do you think this will be your living for the rest of your life, or have you got an exit strategy?
Yeah, I doubt it. I don't really want to be 65, staring at screens, betting on sport. Try and invest in a load of different stuff, diversify. We do some stuff in Australia with a tipping company and a sports hedge fund. So I'm trying to find ways to get out, if necessary, because you never know. One day I might not have an edge on cricket, or they might tighten up the guidelines on betting in play or something like that. So I hope not. I hope I'm playing golf or sat on a beach when I'm 65.
Brilliant. Matt Barker, thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.